In the chaos of conflict, some voices become lifelines. When the world is shrouded in confusion and fear, it is these voices that cut through the noise, offering clarity and hope. In Gaza, where every day brings new uncertainty, the need for such voices is even more urgent. Anasal-Sharif was one of them, a journalist whose courage and commitment made him a beacon for many. From Gaza, his Al-Jazeera reports offered more than news. They brought the world face to face with daily life under siege. He showed the world not just the destruction, but the resilience and humanity of those living through it. His storytelling made distant suffering immediate, connecting millions to the realities behind the headlines. Through his lens, the pain, hope, and endurance of Gaza's people became impossible to ignore. Al-Sharif's work reached far beyond the Middle East, challenging global audiences to see Gaza through unfiltered eyes. His reports inspired empathy and understanding, sparking conversations in living rooms and newsrooms around the world. He didn't just report events, he explained the context, the history, and the humanity at stake. His careful explanations helped viewers grasp the deeper roots of the conflict and the stakes for ordinary people. Remaining in Gaza despite the dangers, he believed in the power of truth and the necessity of local voices. His dedication was a testament to the risks journalists take to keep the world informed. His presence on the ground ensured Gaza's story wasn't told by outsiders, stripped of nuance. He gave a platform to those whose voices are often silenced, making sure their experiences were heard. In a war of narratives, Al-Sharif's independent reporting was a crucial counterweight to official accounts. His work reminded us that truth is often found in the details that others overlook. His loss is not just personal, it's a blow to the world's understanding of this conflict. The absence of his voice leaves a void, making it even more vital to remember the importance of those who risk everything to tell the world the truth. August 11, 2025, began with a heavy sense of unease in Gaza City, as the first rays of sunlight revealed streets already bracing for another day of uncertainty and fear. The city, scarred by months of conflict, seemed to hold its breath. In the midst of this tension, journalists from across the world gathered near Al-Shifa Hospital, setting up a makeshift media tent that had become a lifeline for news and information. Reporters and camera crews worked side by side, determined to document the unfolding crisis. This fragile hub was more than just a workspace. It was a symbol of persistence and courage. Here, Anasal-Sharif and his team broadcasted the war's harsh realities to the world, often risking their lives to ensure the truth was seen and heard beyond Gaza's borders. But in an instant, everything changed. A targeted explosion tore through the tent, shattering the sense of safety and leaving devastation in its wake. The blast was sudden, violent, and left the voices inside forever silenced. Cameras, microphones, and equipment lay broken among the debris, a grim testament to the dangers faced by those who dare to report from the front lines. The tools of their trade, now twisted and ruined, told their own story of loss. Colleagues and medics rushed to the scene, desperate to help, but hope quickly turned to heartbreak as they discovered the bodies of Anasal-Sharif, Mohammed Krike, and 3 other journalists, friends and colleagues lost in an instant. The strike was not a tragic accident. It was a direct hit on a clearly marked press location, with press signs visible from above, a chilling message to all who bore witness. The loss of 5 journalists in a single attack sent shockwaves through newsrooms around the globe. Colleagues watched in disbelief and horror, realizing that the risks of reporting from Gaza had reached a terrifying new level. It marked a chilling escalation. Nowhere was safe, and the blue press vest, once a symbol of protection, offered no shield against the violence. The very identity of the press had become a target. For those who remained, the message was unmistakable. Telling the truth in Gaza could cost you everything. Yet even in the face of such danger, journalists continued to bear witness, determined that the world would not look away. The attack on the Al-Jazeera tent was no accident. It was a deliberate strike on a well-known media site. Journalists there were clearly marked as press, protected under international law. The precision of the attack pointed to intent, not error, fitting a pattern of targeting journalists in Gaza. Dozens of reporters have been killed, news offices destroyed, and communication blacked out since the war began. Silencing voices like al-Sharif's before a major offensive was a strategic move to control the narrative. Al-Jazeera and press freedom groups condemned the killings as a war crime and a desperate attempt to suppress independent reporting. The message, reporting on Gaza's reality is now a potentially fatal act. This was not just an attack on individuals, but on the very principle of a free press. After the strike, the Israeli military quickly claimed responsibility, alleging Anasal-Sharif was a Hamas operative, not a journalist. They cited secret intelligence, framing the attack as counter-terrorism, not an assault on the press. International organizations and human rights groups met these claims with deep skepticism, noting a pattern of unsubstantiated accusations. Al-Jazeera rejected the allegations, demanding an independent investigation. The UN and press freedom advocates insisted that journalists are civilians, protected unless proven otherwise with clear, verifiable evidence. Simply labeling a journalist a terrorist after their death does not meet international standards. The global media community condemned the strike and its justification, warning it sets a dangerous precedent. If governments can kill journalists and retroactively justify it, press freedom everywhere is at risk. The deaths of al-Sharif and his colleagues are part of a much larger tragedy in Gaza. Nearly 2 years of war have left over 61,000 dead, many of them women and children. Famine and deprivation now claim lives daily, with hundreds dying from starvation and lack of water. Israel blames Hamas for aid blockages, but UN reports point to a man-made crisis caused by the blockade and ongoing military operations. The psychological toll is immense. Generations know only war, trauma, and loss. Families are displaced again and again. Children grow up amid rubble and fear. The suffering in Gaza is not just physical, but a deep collective wound that will last for decades. The killing of the Al-Jazeera crew coincided with Israel's announcement of a new offensive to seize Gaza City. Prime Minister Netanyahu promised a swift operation and safe zones for civilians, but such assurances have proven hollow before. Humanitarian groups warned that moving hundreds of thousands of displaced people would only deepen the crisis. International concern grew, with European nations calling for restraint and a political solution, while the US largely backed Israel. The planned occupation marks a strategic shift and a long-term commitment to control. For journalists, the risks multiply as access shrinks and the dangers of being targeted increase. The battle for Gaza City is not just about territory, it's about who controls the story. Some would prefer to wage this war without independent witnesses. Alongside bombs and bullets, a fierce battle rages over information. Israel's sophisticated PR machine frames its actions as defensive, while Palestinian journalists struggle to show the war's true impact. These local reporters, under-resourced and constantly at risk, are the world's main source of independent news from Gaza. Their work counters official narratives, documenting destruction, suffering and survival. The strike on al-Sharif was the most brutal tactic in a broader campaign. Media offices destroyed, communications cut, and journalists silenced. When local voices are lost, it becomes easier for one side to dominate the narrative. Every report from Gaza is an act of resistance against erasure. The deliberate targeting of journalists shows just how powerful and threatening their truth-telling can be. Despite the dangers, dozens of Palestinian journalists continue to report from Gaza. Their courage is extraordinary. They risk their lives daily to ensure the world sees what is happening. They face airstrikes, shortages, and the trauma of losing colleagues and loved ones, yet they persist. With international journalists barred, their work is the only window into Gaza's reality. Every story they file is a defiant act against the information blockade. They know that if they stop, Gaza's suffering will be hidden from the world. These journalists are not just witnesses. They are the last line of defense against silence. Their resilience preserves memory, honors victims, and upholds the core values of journalism. The death of Anasal-Sharif is more than a personal loss. It's the silencing of a voice for an entire people. His absence leaves a void not just in the hearts of his loved ones, but in the collective memory of Gaza. He was a witness to suffering, a chronicler of hope, and a bridge between a besieged community and the outside world. For Gazans, his reporting meant their pain was seen. For the world, it meant understanding the human cost of war. Through his lens and words, distant tragedies became personal stories, and statistics turned into faces and names. He gave a platform to those who had none, making sure their voices echoed far beyond the borders of Gaza. Without journalists like him, the conflict becomes distant, filtered, and easier to ignore. The silence that follows is not just the absence of news, but the erasure of lived realities. When the cameras stop rolling, the world's attention drifts, and the suffering continues unseen. Killing reporters is an attack on the right to be informed and a warning to others who seek to tell the truth. It is an attempt to intimidate, to control the narrative, and to silence uncomfortable realities. Each attack on a journalist is an attack on transparency and accountability. It sets a dangerous precedent, eroding protections for journalists everywhere. When one voice is silenced, others are forced into fear or self-censorship, and the world loses its window into the truth. The fight for justice for al-Sharif is a fight for press freedom itself. It is a demand that those who risk their lives to report are protected, and that their sacrifices are not forgotten. His legacy endures in the courage of those who continue his work. Every young reporter who picks up a camera or a pen in Gaza carries forward his mission, refusing to let fear dictate the story. The best tribute is to keep listening to the stories he died to tell, and to demand a world where no journalist pays the ultimate price for truth. Only then can we honor his memory and defend the right to know.